Hello and welcome. Today we're going to go on a bit of a journey, one that goes beneath the surface of some of the world's most ancient texts. We're not just looking at the stories they tell, we're looking at the very architecture of the words themselves, searching for these hidden patterns that have fascinated people for thousands of years.
And it all starts with a number.
Okay, let's just dive right into this. At the very end of the Gospel of John, there's this really famous story. The disciples, they've been fishing all night, they've caught nothing, then they're told to cast their net one more time. They do, and they haul in this enormous catch of fish. Now, the author, John, he is known for being incredibly precise, very intentional with every detail. So he doesn't just say they caught a lot of fish. No, he says they caught exactly 153. It's so specific, it feels so random. You just have to ask, why? And you know, this one small puzzle, it really opens the door to a much larger, very human quest, the search for deeper meaning in sacred writings. It's a journey that takes us far beyond just reading the words on the page. This is not a new idea, not at all. For centuries, there's been this belief that underneath the stories and the laws, there's another layer, a kind of mathematical or structural beauty that's been woven right into the fabric of the text itself. It's really a search for a design that just feels too intricate, too perfect to be an accident. So one of the oldest ways people have tried to uncover this hidden layer is by treating the text not just as literature, but as a kind of mathematical code. This brings us to the fascinating world of Gematria. See, in ancient languages like Hebrew and Greek, the alphabet actually did double duty. It was also their number system. So the first letter, aleph or alpha, well, that was also the number 1. The second letter was 2, and so on. Gematria, then, is the practice of exploring the numerical value of words to see if you can find hidden connections and deeper meanings. The idea here is really pretty simple. By adding up the values of the letters in a word, you get a single number. So for instance, the Hebrew word for truth, emet, is spelled with the letters aleph, mem, and tav. Their values are 1, 40, and 400. Add them up, you get 441. So this lets people find connections between completely different words or phrases that just happen to share the same number, which might suggest a hidden link between them. Now take a look at this number, 2,701. Using standard Hebrew gematria, this is the total numerical value of the very first verse of the entire Bible, Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. For people who look for these patterns, the unique mathematical properties of a number like this, well, that's the first clue that something really profound is going on just beneath the surface. Okay, so let's bring it all back to our original mystery. Can this idea of gematria actually help us figure out why John thought it was so important to tell us about that exact number of fish? Well, the connections are pretty fascinating. First, just mathematically, 153 is what's called a triangular number. It's the sum of all the numbers from 1 all the way up to 17. The early church father Augustine thought this was a huge deal because 17 is the sum of 10 for the 10 Commandments and 7 for the gifts of the Spirit. But it gets even deeper when you look at the Old Testament book of Ezekiel. In a prophecy, 2 places are named, En-Gedi and En-Eglim. While using Hebrew gematria, the name Gedi adds up to 17. En-Eglim, you guessed it, it adds up to 153. It's a really stunning numeric link between a prophecy and a story written centuries apart. But, you know, numbers are only one piece of the puzzle. There's a whole other kind of pattern, one that's based not on math, but on structure and symmetry. And this brings us to a beautiful literary device known as a chiasm. A chiasm actually gets its name from the Greek letter chi, which looks just like the letter X. And that shape, that X, is the perfect way to picture it. It's a poetic structure where the second half of a phrase is a mirror image of the first half. Back in ancient oral cultures, this wasn't just for sounding pretty. It was a really powerful way to help people memorize things. And more importantly, to put a huge emphasis on whatever idea was right in the middle. This is a perfect, simple example. In Mark's Gospel, Jesus says, "The Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath." You can literally see the pattern right here. Sabbath is A, man is B. Then it reflects back. Man is B prime, and Sabbath is A prime. It's just a perfectly balanced, elegant, and really memorable statement. And what's just incredible is the scale of this. You can find these little chiastic structures in a single sentence, sure, but they can also form the blueprint for entire chapters, and in some cases, people argue, for entire books of the Bible. Just take the story of Noah and the flood. When you map out the timeline of events in the story, this amazing mirrored pattern emerges. It starts with 7 days of waiting, it builds up with 40 days of rain and 150 days of the waters rising, and then it all pivots on one single central phrase: God remembered Noah. From that one moment, the whole thing reverses itself perfectly. 150 days of the waters going down, 40 days of the waters decreasing, and a final 7 days of waiting. The entire epic is built like a giant literary arch, and right at the center, the keystone, is God's remembrance of Noah.
So, okay, we've got these number patterns and we've got these incredible structural patterns, but this brings up a much bigger question. Why? Why do people dedicate so much of their lives to finding them? What's the point of the search?
Well, the reasons are really as varied as the patterns themselves. For some people, these complex structures are proof of a divine author, a mind that's beyond human capability. For others, it's about finding hidden wisdom, connecting ideas across the entire text in ways you'd never see otherwise. For many, the process itself is a kind of deep spiritual meditation. It's a way to engage with the text that goes way beyond a simple reading. And for some, it's just a deep appreciation for the text as an absolute masterpiece of literary design. When you get right down to it, that's what really unites all of these different approaches. The search for patterns is an act of deep engagement, of reverence, really. It's treating these ancient writings not as simple historical records, but as these living, profoundly complex creations that are still revealing new layers of meaning, even thousands of years later. Of course, there's another way to look at all this. This quote from the Jerusalem Post kind of brings things back down to earth. It's a gentle reminder that, while searching for hidden codes is fascinating, there are some pretty profound, world-changing messages sitting right there on the surface. Messages like love your neighbor as yourself, which are, well, they're more than enough of a challenge for us to understand and live by. And so that leaves us with a final question, doesn't it? Are these patterns really evidence of a divine architect, a hidden message from God that's been encoded in numbers and structures? Or are they a reflection of something deep inside of us, our powerful, persistent, and very human desire to find order and meaning in the world around us? Perhaps the truth, as it so often does, lies somewhere in between.